Okay, thank you very much. It's really great to be here. It's been a very exciting 2 days of talks. Basically, what we wanted to do is come here and talk to you a little bit what we're doing with the Balsas River Catfish in central Mexico and learn what you are doing over here with your catfishes. This work is like a resume of several studies we've done over a series of years with the leadership of Humberto Mejia. But well, I'm going to be presenting. So this has been done at the Ichthyology Lab at the University of Morelos in central Mexico, and with support from our southern campus of El Jicarero. And so most of the talks we've been hearing the past few days are related to sport fishing. But in our case, in developing countries, fisheries, freshwater fishes are really important for us as a food source and for sustaining the poor of the world. So global fisheries is about 170 million tons a year, and freshwater capture is about 11 million tons a year. That's FAO data. And what we've been seeing increasing is aquaculture. The last maybe 10 years, this has gone from 30 million tons to 50 million tons. So it's one segment that's been growing. But several studies have shown that we have no idea of the real catch of freshwater fishes, because sometimes when they go and measure real fisheries in the field, they found that these are underreported by 2 or 3, a factor of 2 or 3. So those 11 million tons are probably 30 million tons. And the interesting thing about this is that this 20 million tons of excess fishery are food for the poor. And it says that about 2 billion people in the world obtain their primary animal protein from fishing. And so if you look at how many people are employed in fisheries, it's about 108 million people, but 60 million people are employed by freshwater fisheries. So it's also a source of income for people that work in the freshwater fishing industry. As you can see in this map, it's a paper in 2016. The red is where most of the big freshwater fishes are in the world, and most of them are in developing countries. So it still is where these fishes are really important. And you look at just in the Mekong River Basin, about 55 million people depend on freshwater fish for nutrition and livelihoods, just in one fishery. There's some studies like this been done in the Amazon, in the Orinoco Basin, in some other places, and you can see that this is really important for people's livelihoods. In Mexico, freshwater fish is also very important. We're about the 14th inland capture producer of the world, but sadly, most of this capture comes from invasive species. So exotic species have been introduced into Mexico, mainly tilapia. Tilapia accounts for about, Orichromys is the genus, but they call it, normally called tilapia, accounts for about 80% of the catch, but we also have some catfish, carps, bass, and trout. And it is interesting, why would you introduce a cichlid in Mexico for aquaculture when we have about 50 native cichlid species that are used in fisheries? So there's very little information on the freshwater fisheries of Mexico. One of the most studied cases is Lake Pátzcuaro in Michoacán, where they eat what we call whitefish. It's a silverside, freshwater silverside. And in 1981, there were 737 tons captured. In 88, about 2,000 million tons. tons, and in 98 it went back down to 300 tons. And this was because bass and carp were introduced in the lake. So exotic fishes are causing real problems. Just recently, last year, we analyzed all of Mexico's freshwater fishes using red list criteria. This was about 150 species. And we found that invasive species are one of my main threats. We have very little information how much fisheries are affecting our fisheries. This is a publication that's about to come out in the following weeks. So the Balsas River Catfish, we decided to study this fish. It is distributed in south central Mexico in the Pacific slope. It has an area distribution, very big area distribution, about 112,000 square kilometer long. The Balsas River is very big. And there was a study people from our lab did in 1991, but they found that specimens could grow up to about a meter long. The first reproduction in females is about 189 millimeters and in males 167 millimeters. Of course, like any other catfish, they're benthic feeders. They have activity at night. And so what we did was to have interviews with local fishermen. We identified local fishermen in about 100-kilometer stretch of the Balsas River, which is called the Macusac River. And we interviewed about 47 fishermen. We went with them, see how they capture the fish. We also obtained information from one of the selling points, one of the collection points. The fishermen catch their fish, take this to this place, and we obtained data for about 3,000 specimens over a period of 13 months. And then we did analysis, basic population analysis on some of these fishes. So this is where the study went away. This is the Balsas River, this big map. And this is a 100-kilometer stretch of the river. This is a subtropical river, so in the dry season, which is from maybe November to June, the river is very low. It's transparent. The water is very clear, and the surrounding areas are very dry. And in the rainy season, it changes a lot. The water is highly turbid. It's the flow is very intense, and these sometimes, in temperate lakes, you have the cold and the hot water. Here we have the turbid and the transparent water, which is characterized the fishery. Okay. So after talking with interviewing the fishermen, we found that the fishery doesn't have professional fishermen, only occasional and part-time fishermen. So people are farmers or they work in construction or something. They go out and fish at night to get an extra income for their household, and they bait it with aquatic insects, mainly Dobsonfly larvae, the big aquatic larvae. The catfish love that bait. They're very good. They bite that. They use lines with hooks. A fisherman would put about 10 and 30 lines and leave them there at night, and they'll go collect the fish in the morning. But they also do cast nets, and they do this rustic harpoons they build by themselves. This one is harpoon and a tilapia, but they do that with the catfish also, only during the dry season where the water is transparent. And daily catch was from 1 to 12 kilos by fishermen. We estimated a catch of about 11 tons in that stretch of river, 100-kilometer stretch of river, and 76% of the catch is for consumption, and only 33% is sold. So it's still for a subsistence fishery. In the collection point we analyzed, they capture about 1.6 tons of fish per year. Okay, we did We did a poster with a lot of this information, the length-width relationship of the catfish, and we would see in the condition factor we saw differences between the dry season and the rainy season. The dry season, they get a little. The condition goes down a little bit because that's when the reproduction takes place. So most of the females are very lean. Talking about the fishery, remember there was about 18 millimeters, the first reproduction. So we only had one specimen captured for the fishery of that size. But we're missing all the big catfishes. The fishery is basically killing all the catfishes. Mortality was about 81%, so it's greatly overfished. The condition is terrible. The only good thing is that they don't kill the first reproduction recluse. That's the only good thing about this. But the situation of fisheries is terrible. But there's another threat to the fishery, which recently, Humberto found in recent years, not only the Balsas River Catfish, but then we found the channel catfish. Somebody has introduced channel catfish into the system, and about half of the catch of those 13 months we have reviewed are now Ictalurus punctatus. So that's very bad for the people are fishing them, but the native fish is probably being affected. And we also have these two armored catfishes there, and those are, we don't know really what effect these introduced catfish are having on the native catfishes. There's a study we published some years ago on a dam in Mexico, big dams, that they were fishing about 20,000 tons of tilapia a year. Once this armored catfish got in the dam, it went down to 2,000 tons, so it basically collapsed. These are benthic feeders, but they feed on the nests and they destroy the fishing gear also, because you can get up to about a meter long. But more recently, with this, we went with this data to the National Fishery Department in Mexico. Unlike here in the United States, where states have control of the fisheries, in Mexico it's a national system where they produce the laws and regulations regarding fishery. There's no regulations for the Balsas River Catfish. And what we're trying to do is, with this data, get them into what is the technical standard for fisheries in Mexico. And we've talked to them, and it was them who stocked the Ictalurus punctatus. They're going to stop stocking this fish. And recently, through a GF program related to invasive species, we managed to get this facility in Morelos, and we're working with them, with the national government, to try to reproduce the Balsas River catfish and restock some of the populations in this place. This is one of the reasons we wanted to come here. We know, we have already talked to some people who are reproducing native catfish and try to find out how to do that with our native catfish and try to, get the populations recovered. And so that's about it. Well, one of our colleagues at the laboratory has done a play that she does in school, so that, talking about the catfish and the invasive catfish, and she has this really interesting. I'm just fooling around her, but she's the one that's done all this education program with the catfish. So thank you very much.
We have some time for questions.
Is there any indication that the channel catfish will hybridize with the native?
Yes, we found some specimens that we can identify. It looks like they're hybridizing. Humberto's done that study right now to try to see if that's going on. We think so. They're very close relatives, so it could be happening, yes. That's another down aspect of this. Yeah.
You may have said this and I missed it. They only live in this one river basin?
Yes, they're endemic to the Balsas River Basin, so that's and it's fish everywhere in the basin, so it would be really interesting to have regulations and try to, protect the species.
Do you have any law enforcement to help you enforce any regulations you might?
I don't think that it would work that much. What we want to do is work with the communities to try to tell them, okay, why don't you leave this the small fishes alone for some time, or do maybe have a program where we can have some sites in the river that could be protected for a couple of years, try to let the population, come back, recover. But yeah, not with enforcement. It's always important to have the legal side covered because that helps a little bit. But like enforcing, it's better to convince. In Mexico, it works better that way. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.